Hello class. In this video, I want to talk about setting up your computer so that you can do the assignments for this course. Now I'm going to show you two different ways of installing and one alternative way if you can't install. And so in this video, I'm going to talk about Python, installing it, Visual Studio Code, and then we're going to talk about plugins for Visual Studio Code. Then we're going to go through a little quick programming example and then some debugging. So first off, let's go to the Microsoft Store. If you come up here and you type in Python, it'll automatically do a search for you or show app things that apply. Just pick Python 3.10. We're going to be using Python version 3 for this course. Doesn't have to be the latest and greatest, but if you're installing for the first time, it will be. I've already installed Python on my computer through the App Store here, and so there's no download link up here or install link. But there'll be an install link here. Click on it, gets installed, you're done. Next thing you want to do is you want to do Visual Studio Code. You just type in Visual Studio Code pops up. Click on that. You don't want the community ones or any of those or the insider one, just the regular Visual Studio Code version. I installed Visual Studio Code the next way I'm going to show you. But if you want to do it this way, you just click install, gets installed, and you're ready to go. So that's all the installing you really need for this course. The other way of doing this, and this will apply to people who are on Mac, Linux, or Windows. It doesn't matter. Obviously, the first one was geared towards Visual Windows. But if you go to python.org or do a Google search for Python, just go to download, click Python 3.10, install it, and then you're good to go. Python's ready to go. Then you want to go and find the Visual Studio Code download page. So if you go to code.visualstudio.com/download, that's the page. Or again, Google it. Here's the different operating systems that Visual Studio Code supports: Windows, Linux, and Mac. Just pick the version you want, click on it, download it, install it, and you're good to go. There is a Visual Studio Code online version. I tried that the other day and I was having difficulties with it, so I would recommend not using that. But if you're on a computer that you can't install this stuff on, say you're using a brother's or sibling's work laptop or your work laptop and you can't install stuff, there is a website you can go to. If you go to replit.com, replit.com, create an account, and then in there you can create what's called a Replit. It's not quite straightforward, but it creates a project for you where you can create multiple files in here, and then you write your code here. This is the console. This is where all the output's going to go to, or where you're going to interact with your program. And so you can use this as a way to program. It does save to your account, so you don't have to save it somewhere else, or fear of losing it or forgetting it at somebody's house if you were to work on it on somebody's house. So this is another way to kind of globally do that. So now let's do an example. So I'm going to bring up Python. And your menus over here might look a little different because I have extra plugins installed. But in a nutshell, Visual Studio Code is a text editor. It's a really fancy text editor. But you can do extremely a lot of stuff with it. And in the industry, a lot of people use Visual Studio Code as their main development IDE, their integration development environment. We have a lot of teams at my work that use Visual Studio Code. So initially, once you have it installed, your menus over here might look a little different. The whole layout might look a little different. Like I said, I have a couple of extensions added. But you should have this one called extensions. So if I say extensions or plugins, this is what I mean. I kind of interchange the words every once in a while. Just click on there. You'll have a blank field up here. Just type in Python. I kind of already did. Sorry. But you want to look for the Python for Microsoft. You can just, like this one, you can just hit click install. Or you can click on it and you can read about what this plugin does. It got some like video clips of how to use it. Like I said, I already have it installed. So you just click install. And I believe that's the only one you need. But if you have questions, let me know. Like I said, I have a whole bunch of other ones installed here. And so that's it. That's it for installing and getting set up and ready to go. So now I'm going to go into a programming example, or I'm going to set up my environment to start programming. And it's pretty simple. So if you go to File and click Open Folder. And so I have Arapahoe Community College OneDrive set up. And so whether you have access to that or something else, this might be the way to go with your project. This way your code is backed up. And so if your computer dies, you have a backup somewhere auto-magically. And so what I would do if I were you, is pick one of these online cloud services if you have one. Click New Folder. I'm going to call this Python temp because I'm going to delete it. So you should pick a name that best fits you. So I'm going to select that folder. Visual Studio kind of does a reload. Now I have this Explorer window, and it's going to show all the files and stuff that I have in there. And then it's going to have some other stuff down here. Again, your window might look a little different. You might not have Sonar Lint installed as an extension. If you want Sonar Lint installed, I would recommend it. It just tells you what you're doing wrong in your code if you're doing something wrong. But anyways, I want to create a new file, so I can create a file here. I can go to File, New up here. I'm going to call this, let's say project, whoops, if I can spell, project 1.py. So you want all your Python files to end with py. This lets Visual Studio Code know that it's a Python file and that you can run it and do all the stuff that you need to do. And so I'll show you an example. So if I hit plus and I do help.txt, so txt is a text file. You can see up here we have this split screen, so you can kind of split. It says it's a plain text down here. But if I go to Python, it says it's Python. This is the build we're using. It's from the Windows Store. That's kind of nice. There's also this, what I call the play button. It's the run button. We'll get to that in a sec. But in your Python file, I can start typing, and this little pop-up window pops up, and it's trying to be helpful in telling me, hey, these are your options. These are the things you can do or that I know about. So I'm going to print something. So I'm going to do print. So there's print. I can hit enter. It'll fill it in. And then I can add the brace. And then it's going to show me what the inputs are for this. Ignore it for now. And then it's going to talk about it. And then there's, different versions of that. And then we'll get to that in a couple weeks. Don't worry. just kind of follow along if you can. And then for print, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a string. So we use double quotes for strings. And again, this is a topic down the line. But for now, just kind of follow along. Hello, class. So this is where, I just want the Python application to print something. And as you can see, it's color coding my text, which makes it very helpful when you're dealing with strings and other things. Back to this play button, this run button. If you click on it, it'll bring up this window down at the bottom. It might pop up somewhere else for you, but usually it'll pop up on the bottom. So this is your terminal window. This is how you're going to interact with your project when we get to that point. But for now, it's going to show what folder you're in. So this is the folder. And then it's going to show you the command that it executed. So this is the command. So it's using Python 3.10. Then it sent Python the file. So here's our file. It's been sent in. And then here's the output. So it says, hello, class. So this is very simple, very quick. As you can see, one line of code did all this stuff. The last thing on my list down below here is debugging. Back in the day when I had to do this, I had to use print statements. We didn't have an integrated development environment that came with all these bells and whistles and stuff. We truly use a text editor. And we had to know everything. We didn't get all these context windows that pop up that say, hey, these are your options. We didn't have that. Anyways, for debugging, if you go over to the side here, you can see there's like a little round dot. I only have one line of code, so it makes it weird to debug it. But if you click on it, that little red dot becomes brighter and it sticks around. If I hit run, nothing changed. It ran the program again and nothing stopped. But if I come back up here and I say debug the Python file, and the icon changed to show a little bug, we get this little menu here. Our program has stopped and it's here and it's waiting for us to do something. And so that's where this menu comes up. So you have options of stepping over. When we get to functions, you can step over the function. You don't have to go into the function. You can go into that function if you want, or you can step out of the function that you're in. So for this program, and a lot of the programs at the beginning of class, for the first couple of weeks, kind of ignore these two. You don't really need to worry about those. So if you hit continue, it's going to start running again, and it's going to go to the end of the application or to the next debug statement. If you hit step, it's going to step line by line through your code, and so you can see how your code is interacting or what's happening in the code as you step through it. And then if you're done, you can hit stop, and it'll just kill it. Or you can restart it. Like you goofed up, you went too many lines down, you can restart. When you are in debug mode, you get this left panel of stuff. One is variables. I have no variables. Again, we'll talk about this in class. And what the difference between local and global. Watch, you could put stuff in there. And then the stack, we won't have to worry about that too much. So don't worry about the stack for now. I'll just close it. Breakpoints, it shows you all the breakpoints that you have. I just have the one, and what to do when things happen. But I'll just hit play, or the continue the button there, and then so it just continues, and you're done. So that is it in a nutshell. So if you have any questions, please let me know about setting this up, running programs, and so forth. Yep, that's all I have. Talk to you later.